What if Star Wars' most dangerous weapon wasn't a Death Star or a lightsaber, but a calm voice asking for temporary power? That is Darth Sidious. Ruling through patience and manipulation, he destroys the Republic, wipes out the Jedi, and builds the Empire from inside the system itself. Not just powerful, Sidious is the galaxy's greatest mastermind. Two faces, one plan. Darth Sidious's greatest advantage is not raw power, it is duality. As Emperor Palpatine, he presents himself as a mild, thoughtful politician from Naboo, a man who speaks softly, respects procedure, and appears almost fragile under the weight of responsibility. As Darth Sidious, he is the living embodiment of Sith philosophy, domination through control, patience through deception, and victory through inevitability. What makes this dual life extraordinary is not that he keeps it secret, but that he keeps it believable. Sidious does not rush his transformation from senator to chancellor to emperor. He allows events to happen to him in the public eye. He appears reluctant, he appears burdened, he appears necessary. Every promotion he receives looks like a reluctant sacrifice rather than an ambition fulfilled. This is the first rule of his mastery. Never look like the one who wants power the most. Make everyone else insist you take it. Turning democracy into a weapon. The fall of the Republic is often framed as a failure of courage or morality, but Sidious reveals something far more unsettling. The Republic does not fall because people stop believing in democracy. It falls because they believe in it too much. They trust procedure. They trust votes. They trust institutions. Sidious understands that systems designed to prevent tyranny can be turned into tools that enable it. Rather than abolishing democracy, he stretches it. Emergency powers are granted temporarily. Security measures are expanded just until the crisis ends. Surveillance becomes necessary. Militarization becomes defensive. By the time anyone realizes the Republic has transformed into an empire, the change has already been legally approved, applauded, and normalized. The brilliance of Sidious lies in this inversion. He never breaks the rules, he rewrites what the rules mean. The Jedi trap. If the Republic is Sidious's chessboard, the Jedi Order is his most carefully studied opponent. He does not underestimate them. In fact, he respects them enough to destroy them psychologically before destroying them physically. The Jedi are guardians of peace, trained to avoid attachment, ambition, and political power. Sidious exploits this by pulling them into a war they cannot ethically refuse. Once the Clone Wars begin, the Jedi become generals, strategists, and symbols of military authority. Their moral clarity becomes blurred, their public image shifts, their neutrality vanishes. Sidious doesn't need the galaxy to hate the Jedi. He only needs the galaxy to doubt them. By the time Order 66 is issued, the Jedi are no longer untouchable spiritual figures. They are military commanders accused of treason. When they fall, the public does not rise in protest. It breathes a sigh of relief. Stability has returned, and Sidious wins without having to explain anything. Controlling both sides of the war. Perhaps the most audacious and psychologically ruthless element of Darth Sidious's grand design is his absolute control over both sides of the Clone Wars. As Chancellor of the Galactic Republic and secret master of the Separatist movement, Sidious engineers a conflict in which every outcome benefits him. Victory, defeat, stalemate, it makes no difference. Each turn of the war tightens his grip on the galaxy. When the Republic suffers losses, citizens grow fearful and demand stronger leadership. When the Separatists gain ground, the threat feels existential, justifying extraordinary measures. And when the war drags on endlessly, exhaustion replaces resistance. People stop asking whether the system is broken and start begging for someone, anyone, to make the chaos stop. This war is never meant to be won quickly because speed would expose manipulation. Instead, it is designed to reshape expectations. Peace begins to feel naive. Emergency powers feel reasonable. Military oversight feels necessary. What Sidious truly conquers is not territory, but tolerance. How much fear, control, and centralized authority the galaxy is willing to accept before it even realizes it has crossed a line. He doesn't defeat the galaxy's armies. He defeats its patience, slowly conditioning an entire civilization to accept empire as the price of survival. Power without flash. Despite being one of the most powerful Sith Lords to ever exist, Sidious almost never relies on spectacle or brute force. He understands something many villains never learn. Visible power invites opposition. Flashy domination creates heroes. Quiet manipulation creates compliance. Sidious does not seek admiration on the battlefield, or fear through open displays of strength. He prefers distance, layers, and deniability. Proxies fight his wars. Apprentices draw attention. Institutions enforce his will. This restraint is deliberate. Violence leaves trails, bodies, witnesses, martyrs. Manipulation leaves uncertainty, doubt, and fragmented blame. When something goes wrong, no one knows exactly who is responsible. When something goes right, Sidious appears merely to have guided events wisely. By the time he finally steps into the open, he isn't revealing a coup. He's announcing a conclusion. The Empire doesn't arrive like an invasion. It arrives like a formality. Resistance feels impractical, even irrational, because the transformation has already occurred. The cage is complete. People are only just beginning to notice the bars. I am the Senate. The line is often laughed at, quoted, and memed, but it is one of the most revealing statements in all of Star Wars. When Sidious declares, "I am the Senate," he is not boasting. He is stating a fact. He does not overthrow institutions. He absorbs them so completely that they lose meaning without him. The Senate continues to exist under his rule, but only as theater. Ceremonial debate stripped of consequence. It becomes a symbol of democracy rather than its function. Sidious understands that legitimacy is more powerful than fear. A ruler who claims authority through law, tradition, and continuity faces far less resistance than one who openly declares tyranny. By preserving the appearance of governance, he prevents people from realizing how much they've already lost. That is why his reign begins with applause instead of rebellion. The galaxy does not feel conquered. It feels stabilized, organized, managed, and by the time citizens recognize the cost of that management, the machinery of the Empire is already too vast to challenge. Planning beyond death. Where many villains fail is in assuming their control ends with their life. Sidious does not make this mistake. His contingency plans reveal a mind that refuses to accept mortality as a limitation. Through hidden laboratories, Sith cultists, and forbidden cloning experiments on Exegol, Sidious ensures that his influence persists beyond his physical form. The Sith Eternal are not merely worshippers, they are infrastructure. They build fleets, raise soldiers, and maintain secrets across generations. Even the Empire's collapse becomes part of the design. If the Empire fails, it deserves to be destroyed and rebuilt stronger. Failure is not an end, it is filtration. Snoke and the illusion of independence. Supreme Leader. Snoke represents one of Sidious's most elegant deceptions. To the galaxy, Snoke appears as a new dark power, a fresh tyrant rising from the ashes of the Empire. In reality, he is a constructed proxy, an instrument designed to lead, provoke, and ultimately be discarded. This reveals a crucial detail about Sidious's mindset. He does not need to rule visibly. He only needs control. If the galaxy focuses its hatred, fear, and rebellion on the wrong figure, the real mastermind remains untouched. The greatest trick Sidious ever played was convincing the galaxy that he was gone. Legacy as a weapon. Sidious's final gambit is perhaps his most disturbing. He does not simply want power to endure, he wants it inherited. Through bloodlines, manipulation, and identity, he attempts to trap the future into continuing his rule. By tying his legacy to Rey, Sidious treats family not as love, but as leverage. Identity becomes destiny. Choice becomes burden. Even resistance becomes part of his design. This is the ultimate Sith ideology. The future should not escape you. It should belong to you. And that's the true horror of Darth Sidious. If this breakdown changed how you see Star Wars villains and power itself, you're exactly where you should be. If you want to be smarter every day, like and subscribe.